Sean Strickland has an all-time resume. All right, get it out while you still can. Yes, I was extremely wrong about Sean Strickland. He completely proved me wrong. All of my predictions aged like milk, especially the main events, I guess, recently. And I just can't predict any of these fights. I should not be talking. I should not have doubted the American Sean Strickland. You know what I'm saying? I should have never doubted him. Yeah, I was really wrong about Sean Strickland. I really thought he had next to no chance at beating Khamzat Chimaev. I completely counted him out, and I really didn't think he's going to last all 5 rounds, let alone beat the seemingly unstoppable Khamzat Chimaev. He clearly won rounds 2, 3, and 5, survived the onslaught that was the first round, surprisingly defended the takedowns in the second, took advantage of Khamzat gassing out in that second round, and landed bombs from the top to completely change the momentum of this fight and pull off the impossible again to become champion. So after adding Khamzat, another name to an incredible resume, I got to thinking, it doesn't get talked about enough at how great of a resume Sean Strickland has. Look at the rankings. He's beaten 3 of the top 4 contenders in the middleweight division and went to war with Dricus du Plessis in their first. And if you zoom out, he's beaten 3 other guys in the top 15. Everyone from champ to rising contender to everyone in between. Sean has faced them all and beat a majority of them. I feel like people don't talk about the greatness of Sean Strickland because he's just way more known for shit-talking, unapologetic personality, but forget all the noise. This guy is an all-time middleweight great with an insanely deep resume that we have to talk about. Let's take a deep dive into Sean Strickland's underrated, very great resume and see how he stacks up to the all-time greats. All right, we of course have to talk about Sean Strickland being responsible for not just 1, but now 2 generational title upsets. Against Israel Adesanya, Izzy was a -650 favorite, implying Izzy had an 86%-ish chance of winning. Not only was Izzy looking like he was going to go on a second prime after a highlight knockout win over the Terminator that was Alex Pereira, but Sean wasn't even supposed to fight Izzy. Do you remember that? DDP got injured like 5-ish weeks before he was supposed to fight Israel Adesanya for the title. On 5 weeks' notice, Sean steps up to an opportunity of a lifetime against one of the greatest middleweights ever in Israel Adesanya, had to fly across the world to Australia, which of course is nearby Izzy, who was coming from New Zealand and is way more acclimated to the time zone, and he delivered. Of course, he dropped Izzy bad in the first round and literally beat Izzy at his own game over the course of 5 rounds, controlling the fight with superior striking and distance management, and pulled off one of the greatest title upsets of all time. And then skip to now. It's deja vu. Sean Strickland, only 2 months after beating Fluffy, takes on another daunting task in fighting another seemingly dominant middleweight champion in Khamzat Chimaev, who this time was a giant 500-ish favorite, implying he had around an 83% chance of winning. But this time, that first round didn't look all too good for Sean as he got dominated in the grappling. And I thought this was how every round was going to play out. But to my surprise, Khamzat gassed so early in the second. When Sean defended this takedown, Khamzat didn't even try to get up. He was that gassed. Then, this was so lazy of a shot, and Sean capitalized on that to just wail on him. And then Khamzat was so tired in the third that he purposely took it off to recover, and Sean won that one. He barely won the fourth with this takedown. Meanwhile, Sean kept putting on the pressure every single round, spamming the jab and the 2 occasionally, and eventually closed out the 5th, enough for the round and ultimately the fight to become the 2-time middleweight champion. And here's the thing, you guys. Becoming a 2-time division champion is hard enough, but beating a still prime Izzy and a prime Khamzat, being a 6-1 and 5-1 underdog respectively, is mathematically next to impossible. Sean wasn't supposed to win against either guy, let alone both on relative short notice. Insane underdog wins over all-time names like Khamzat and Izzy is really fucking good, but it gets even better for Sean Strickland. Nasruddin Imavov has been climbing up the rankings these past couple of years. He's currently on a 5-fight win streak with a win over Kaio, a TKO win over Israel Adesanya, and a solid win over another rising contender in Brendan Allen. He's the true #1 contender, and the thing is, Sean already beat him back in 2023 on 5 days' notice. Dude came off the couch against a rising contender and again beat a striker at his own game. Despite how fast and quick Imavov's striking is, it was like Sean Strickland saw everything. He defended every low kick, countered a lot of Imavov's offense, and simply just walked down Imavov with the 1-2s down the pipe. Sean was in such flow state. He even got this smooth-ass takedown on Nasruddin Imavov. And I want to remind you, did this on 5 days' notice. And you want to keep talking about short notice for Sean Strickland? Brendan Allen, the 4th-ranked contender in the middleweight division now, coming off of a huge win over RDR, got beat bad by Sean Strickland by TKO back in 2020 on 6 days' notice. You heard that right. Sean Strickland knocked out another young rising contender on less than a week's notice. Sean Strickland is literally just game all the time, constantly sparring, constantly training, and ready for a fight at literally a moment's notice. Sure, this was Brendan Allen back in 2020 when he was only 24 years old, but with Brendan rising up the rankings, this win is starting to age very well for Sean. And you want to keep talking about wins that are starting to age very well for Sean Strickland? Paulo Costa has been on a little tear recently. He's currently on a 2-fight win streak against tough Russian contenders in Roman Kopylov at 185 and now recently Azamat Murzakanov at 205. And Paulo Costa is looking great at light heavyweight. And that tank of a man in Paulo Costa could not get his offense going against Sean Strickland, who effectively shut his offense down, kept him busy with an insane amount of pressure and volume, and even hurt Paulo a couple times. This Paulo Costa win, especially with the knockout performance over Azamat and the run he'll probably have at 205, will just continue to age like fine wine for Sean Strickland. Then you get into a more recent and impressive win for Sean when he fought another rising contender in Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, who a lot of people were saying was going to be the future boogeyman of this division and was going to be the one to beat Khamzat. Fluffy was a sizable favorite in this fight at around -250, was on a monstrous 8-fight win streak with wins over Michel Pereira, Brendan Allen, Roman Kopylov, and a brutal finish of Roman Dolidze. A lot of people counted out Sean Strickland in this fight, but not only did Sean beat Fluffy, he stuffed all of his takedowns, adjusted to find the knee that damaged Fluffy to the body, and in a rare moment for Sean, especially recently, he seeked the finish in the 3rd round to add another solid name and impressive victory to his resume. So I just want to recap the insane resume Sean Strickland has. We're talking two of some of the greatest upset title wins in UFC history over one of the greatest middleweights ever in Israel Adesanya on 5 weeks' notice. And then on top of that, he beats one of the most dominant wrestling phenoms we've ever seen, period, who was previously undefeated only a couple months after his win over Fluffy Hernandez. Then we get into 2 really short notice wins over young top 5 rising contenders in Nasruddin Imavov and Brendan Allen on 5 days and 6 days notice respectively. Then you have a win over a gigantic Paulo Costa, who's now a legitimate light heavyweight contender now. Then 2 months before taking on Khamzat Chimaev, like I said before, he fought a very tough and dangerous Fluffy Hernandez and snapped an 8-fight winning streak. What a hell of a resume for now the 2-time middleweight champion. The only bad losses I would say Sean Strickland has in the middleweight division is, of course, when he got knocked out by Alex in the first, but granted, that's Alex Pereira, and then the second DDP fight where he got his ass beat for 5 rounds. But even though Sean has lost to Dricus du Plessis twice now, and bad in the second, he made it very, very close in the first, and very tough for Dricus du Plessis to completely take over that fight. So the next question is, what's next for Sean Strickland? I think Dricus du Plessis and Nasruddin Imavov have to duke it out for true #1 contender status because both kind of have an argument for why they should be fighting Sean next. Nasruddin Imavov has been on a 5-fight win streak and was really the true #1 contender before Sean leapfrogged with his performance over Fluffy. But on the flip side, Dricus du Plessis is the former champion, beat Sean twice, and Sean has beaten Nasruddin Imavov already. So let's see who's the better of the two. Line them up in a banger between slick and quick striker and big and strong bulldozer that can somehow pull out wins. That's going to be a banger of a fight. But back to Sean Strickland, this dude has an all-time resume, and I feel like it does not get talked about enough. Like I said before, he has insane win after insane win after insane win on crazy short notice. So put respect on Sean Strickland's name. I didn't put respect on his name. Let's see how long this title reign lasts. Anyways, what do you guys think about Sean Strickland? Do you think he truly has an all-time resume? Is he higher on the GOAT list than Khabib? That was a joke, by the way. Anyways, I should have put respect on Sean Strickland's name. Thank you guys for always supporting, even if you guys are going to bitch at me for my predictions, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.